All right, joining us now from the 247 sports staff, one of their aces as far as, and I all the time I talk about there are people in this business that I trust, and there are people in this business I don't know about, but I know from talking to him, being around him, that Gabe Brooks puts the work in. And if there's somebody that has a really good working knowledge, especially of recruits in the Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana region, a guy that gets on the road, does the road work, does the tape work, goes to games, talks to coaches. Gabe Brooks is one of them, and that's why he's really one of the only ones we have on this show ever. Gabe, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate the introduction.
Well, and let me tell you, I mean, the higher ups, I've said to them, man, we don't ever need to lose Gabe Brooks. Y'all need to make him happy. So
Well,
I've
I like
thrown it
hearing
that
that.
way. Yeah. Now here's the deal. All the higher ups, I don't know how much they care for. I don't know how much they like me. So you may not want me as an advocate. All right, let's talk about it. You were down in Houston for the Under Armour event last Sunday. I was not. I'm going to make it to Houston for the Nike opening regional. And so many times we end up seeing the same kids at the Under Armour and the Nike events. I'll be at Under Armour on Sunday at Arlington Martin High School in Dallas. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, whole new class, 2020. We've turned the clock. What do you think? Well, of the really high ranking guys you saw, and I mean, I'll ask you about some specifically that Oklahoma State's offered, but just overall, what did you think of the group in Houston on Sunday?
Well, it was a very good group on the offensive and defensive lines. Um, there were a lot of. I think that there were supposed to be 10 four-star offensive linemen across the 2020 and 2021 classes. I believe 9 of those 10 showed up. There were a lot of good defensive linemen too, and it made for some pretty good one-on-ones. I think that I would have liked to have seen good on good a little more during the one-on-ones, but sometimes the folks running the camps, the position coaches at the camps are going with whoever's performing the best at that certain event more so than they are aware of who the media wants to see as far as highly ranked guy versus highly ranked guy. But still got a pretty good feel for linemen. Having said that, our alpha dog, our top performer from the event was Damon Demas, who was a big-time receiver from the Houston area, committed to Texas A&M. He was just flat-out dominant and made some really good DBs look kind of foolish at times during one-on-ones and the skill portion of the camp.
And looking over on the offensive, Donovan Jackson is again out of Episcopal High School down there in the Houston area in Bel Air. That's a guy I know Oklahoma State extended an offer to. He's got a crowded dance card. Um, Another guy that I think I saw mentioned in there, and I think he was there, um, is Chad Lindbergh. Was Chad there?
He was. He has a
Okay.
tweaked shoulder, so he did not do one-on-ones, but he
Okay.
participated in the drills and some of that stuff. But he was there.
All right. So there's another guy I know that Oklahoma State's offered. And again, Mike Gundy and his group, they're going to be particular. I did a deal last weekend, actually. They've offered 12 kids in the 247 top 100, and I think um, beyond that, it might be like 28, 29 kids that they've offered in the top 247 for 247 sports. And that's, they just don't throw offers out there. They're going to offer kids that they feel showed them a little interest and that they have a chance on, and not just throw the blanket numbers out there. Was Damian George, the big kid from Galena Park North Shore, there?
He was one of the guys who didn't make it. I was hoping he
Okay.
did, just to see him maybe see him matched up with guys like Vernon Broughton, um, uh, and some of the other really, really good defensive linemen who are there, Alfred Collins. But George, I think the two big name O linemen who weren't there were Damian George and Smart Chibuzo, who is also an A&M commit.
Yeah, and I've always wondered too why some of these guys, if they're firmly committed, okay, maybe they want to play in an All-American game, which this can lead to that, or go to the opening, which the Nike workouts the regional workouts can lead to. But at the same time, man, if you've locked in with somebody and you really believe you're going to stay locked in, I mean, I don't know why you would, uh, you get off the couch to work out and stay in shape, but I don't know, necessarily think you have to go do these deals. But hey, that's okay. I mean, it shows they love competition. Let's talk a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about the defensive side of it. And well, no, before we do, let me ask you about Zachary Evans because he's a guy that's just at the top of the chart, running back out of Galena Park, North Shore, coming off a state championship. He's been to Stillwater twice for unofficials, but talk about a guy's dance card that's got everybody and their dog on it. Yeah, this is one of those kids literally can go anywhere in the country he wants.
Yeah, there's I think it's more than 40 known reported offers for him. I mean, he's number one back in the country in the 24/7 sports composite. Not only is he number one back, he's the number one player in the country in the 24/7 sports composite. Um, and I believe he's a top 10 guy in our specific 24/7 sports rankings. He, he's got the build, he's got the body, he's got all of the physical attributes. I actually wrote up his official evaluation that's going to go on his profile. I wrote it up last night. Uh, you don't like to throw this out very often, but he makes it look easy. He's a pretty effortless runner when it comes to stringing moves together in the open field, and there's not a lot of guys who can do that at 6 feet 213. He makes it look so easy sometimes it almost looks like he's going at about 80 or 90%. That's not the case, but that's what he makes it look like. As far as his recruiting, he's knows the game, and he knows when he's getting interviewed, he's not going to give anything away. Our crystal ball has Texas with a firm, well, not a firm, but has Texas at the lead, I think 43%. So whenever you got a crystal ball and it's the leader is under 50%, that's a good indication that nobody really knows yet where he's going to go. I think the feeling initially was that Texas and A&M were going to be the front runners, and they may very well turn out to be that way. But from what it sounds like right now, it feels like he's somebody who's really going to listen to the out-of-state schools. You mentioned Oklahoma State, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, all of those SEC schools. All of those are involved with him. So he, like you said, he's going to have his pick of where he can go.
Gabe, different kids are different. I mean, um, I looked at DeAndre Glass from Katy, which Oklahoma State got. He actually signed on February 6th, the late signing period. And, and I look at it and say, did he not see Chuba Hubbard? Does he not know anything about Jameel, Jeter? Because I'll be honest, Jameel Jeter in camp way back in August, he didn't play. He played a little bit in the bowl game on special teams. But just in the times he got reps and even in scrimmages, the former Oklahoma State head coach, the guy Mike Gundy played for, Pat Jones, was watching one of them. He turned to me. He said, "I'm not so sure that Jeter kid isn't the best of the bunch." And he was out there that day with Justice Hill and L.D. Brown and Chuba. Chuba comes on when Justice gets hurt at the end of the year and has a terrific finish to the season, including the bowl game. And you got Jeter there. And now DeAndre Glass says, "Hey, that's okay. I'm going to join that party." Some guys look for open avenues to playing time. I'm going to guess, and you can tell me more about Zachary Evans, that he probably doesn't care because he does believe he's an alpha dog.
Yeah, and what I think the impression I get from him is that what he's looking for is not as much college volume as it is NFL preparation. I think that
Right.
one thing he mentioned to me about Georgia was two running backs in the Super Bowl, Todd Gurley, Sony Michel, that really stuck out to him. And that's, there's a lot of guys who love to throw around the I'm going to play in the NFL thing, and a lot of them aren't going to. But somebody like that, you know, I'm not going to blame a kid who's that good with the offers he has for thinking that way, because it is a legitimate possibility, if not a probability, for a guy like that. So, he's going to get his carries regardless of where he goes. As far as like DeAndre Glass, I thought that was a really good pickup for Oklahoma State, which continues to get good running backs, like you just said. And the thing about the running back position is that it's not as much this way as the NFL, but it is, I think, increasingly interchangeable even at the college level. And you need 3 or 4 guys who are all going to play. Even if you have a 20-carry guy, there's other guys who are going to come in situational or giving guys a rest or something like that. And I think that it's good to have 3 or 4 trustworthy, reliable backs. And I think somebody like DeAndre Glass, coming from a program that he's coming from at Katy, he'll be ready to come in and contribute pretty early if they need him to.
Yeah, Mike Gundy's always been one that wants, he wants as many backs as he can get. All right, let's move to the defensive side in Houston, and I'll let you make some general comments. And then there's one guy I want to ask about because I like to use the term dance card. I think his dance card's getting a little more crowded as we go, and Oklahoma State is definitely going to be in the market. And this is where a guy could come in and play quickly in the 2020 class at defensive end because it's kind of thinned out, and the guys that are he'll compete with are guys that are really in the 19 class, so they're going to be young too. But uh, what did you see defensively at UA in Houston?
Well, one guy I really liked, who may have been my top defensive guy at the camp, um, was a strong side end from Manor outside of Austin named Princely Uman Mielen. And he was very, very good, very active with his hands. He's in the 6'4", 260 range, but in one-on-ones, when they lined him up on the edge, he was bending pretty well, running the arc, getting low, something that you don't see a lot of times from a kid who's 6'4", 260 in his junior year of high school. Now, with his frame, he wears the 260 really well, and with his frame, he could easily get to 300. So I'm wondering if he's, the scheme fit, the position fit for him at the next level. Is he a 3-4, like 5-tech or 4-eye type end? Is he, if he's in a 4-man front, is he going to stay at a strong side end, or are they going to bulk him up and slide him inside? But I liked him a lot. I liked Jalen Jones a lot, a corner from Cibolo Steel in the San Antonio area. He's committed to Texas A&M. He was kind of hit or miss and in one-on-ones, but then they went into half-field team drills, and they went into zone, and he was a terror in zone. Baited the quarterback into throwing a ball into the end zone that he almost picked off, made it look easy. Tipped another pass out of like the 3 or 4 reps I saw him. So he was another really good one. Vernon Broughton, who I mentioned earlier, another like big, strong side end / D tackle type. Kind of got better and better as the camp went. He's one of the top D linemen in Texas in this cycle. There are some really good defensive line performances. A lot of even some sleeper guys who kind of popped on the radar that I didn't really know about yet, who had good days.
Well, Vernon Broughton is a guy Oklahoma State's offered, but one guy that was up here for their one of their junior days was there. I know at UA Houston, Alec Bryant from Shadow Creek, and I know he's a guy that you just hear a lot of buzz about. I know TCU. I read your recruiting notebook story. TCU is eagerly after him, and I just get the feeling Oklahoma State covets him pretty much as well.
Well, the thing, he turned around the next day and went on an unofficial visit to LSU and committed to LSU on the spot. Because they want him to run that. Dave Aranda's defense has that hybrid edge guy, which LSU fans have had to get used to after having a 4-3 defense for about 20, 25 years. But he runs that three-man front with the hybrid edge guy, and they want Alec Bryant to do that. And Alec Bryant went on that junior day on President's Day and committed on the spot.
And I'm gonna guess Oklahoma State may come back and if he'll listen, talk to him about the same spot because OSU mixed that defense. Jim Knowles is a 4-2-5 guy, much like, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, he learned the 4-2-5 from Gary Patterson at TCU. But with Jordan Brailford this year, OSU ran basically a three-man front with the 3-2-5, and used Jordan Brailford as a hybrid defensive player up front, kind of what I call a front seven rover,
Mm-hmm.
and did that spectacularly, and it's going to help Jordan Brailford as far as his NFL draft prowess. And I think they look at Bryant the same way. They may ask him, "Would you rather do it there?" It's funny because LSU also they also hurt OSU in the late recruiting period because Sony Fanua is a defensive end from uh, out in Mesa, Arizona, a junior college guy. Oklahoma State wanted badly. He made his last visit the weekend before the signing date, LSU, and Ed Orgeron and company got him, and OSU was shut out on him. So I did not hear that about Bryant on Monday going to that LSU. I know they had a President's Day, Junior Day on Monday, so that worked out well for him. What do you think we'll see in Dallas on Sunday?
I think it'll be another loaded camp. These camp series, Under Armour and the opening regionals. I mean, they're both go all over the country for months during the spring semester each year, and the Dallas and Houston camps are as loaded as any that they go to. I mean, they're as loaded as Miami and Los Angeles and Atlanta. Those probably being the other really big ones, along with the two Texas ones. But it'll be a camp where there'll be so many guys that you want to see that you aren't going to be able to get around to seeing all of them. There's just going to be that many players, and going into it, you kind of have to understand that, and you kind of just have to accept who you have to prioritize who you want to see, and who you can maybe check out at a later date, because there's just going to be that many good players. Running back position is one where there's going to be a couple of big name guys. Jace McClellan, the OU commit from Alito, Seth McGowan from Mesquite Poteet. One guy that I've been championing for a long time, who I think is going to get a big move up in the rankings updates that's coming next week, is Haynes King, a quarterback from Longview High School, an East Texas guy, one of my East Texas boys. He'll be there. So there's going to be a lot of offensive skill talent, which is fitting for the Dallas Regional, because I really think DSW is kind of known as a very spread, offense-happy football region at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about another defensive end. This is another kid that was up here last summer at one of OSU's mini camps and got a lot of one-on-one attention from the coaching staff. And where you think he is with his game right now and his recruiting, and that's Highland Park's Prince Dorba.
Yeah, he's one. He's another one. I just wrote his official evaluation last night. Um, it's funny because he's so productive playing for Highland Park just three-peated, and he's very productive playing in a scheme that he's not going to be playing the position that in college that he's playing now. I mean, he's playing in a 4-point stance and like a 5-tech role in a odd man front. I mean, this guy
Right.
in college, if he's in an odd man front, he's going to be in a track stand standing off the edge. If he's in a 4-man front, he's going to be a weak side end. With a one hand on the ground trying to bend the edge. But he's a pure pass rusher. He's got a good frame. I do think he's a tad narrow, so I think that his physical ceiling is probably, I don't know, his absolute physical ceiling is probably 250, 260, and not like 280, 290. But if you want a pass rusher out of a long-armed guy like that, you don't need him to get too big anyway. Our 24/7 Sports crystal ball is all Texas for him right now. Everything I've heard lately has been pretty Texas-oriented as far as just his recruitment goes. But he's one that I think he had 20-plus sacks for Highland Park this past fall. And I remember seeing him, in September of 2017 as a sophomore when HP beat Mansfield Timberview, and I was like, "Who is this kid? I better get a profile up on this guy." So that turned out to be one that I actually knew what I was talking about on.
Hey, two things, and we'll let you get out of here. Um, One is I'm going to go back to the offensive line here real quick, and this is a guy that's not necessarily in your wheelhouse. He's maybe a little too far north, but I'm wondering if you've even seen tape on him, and that is Turner Corcoran out of Free State High School in Lawrence, Kansas. I've watched a couple of games on him, not highlights, just games. And the guy is absolutely one of the most physical. I want to not just put you on the ground, I want to bury you in the earth kind of offensive lineman that I've seen in a while. I was just wondering if you'd seen him at all.
Yeah, I think a while back I got a hold of his highlights, and that was the same impression I got. Was he's a big physical kid. He's a run game mauler. He's a drive blocking monster. A block finisher. It's funny because if you go up into Oklahoma and Kansas in this cycle, there's three of those. There's him in Kansas, and then in Oklahoma you got Eli Russ and Andrew Rame. And
Right.
it's a pretty good year and for really top end guys, and just down the interstate, really, I guess. When you're looking for those big road grader types, I think Rame is one that nobody really knows what he's going to do yet. Some people think he's a tackle, some think he's a guard. I think he could play right tackle. I think he may be a Pro Bowl guard at some point. But he's one that I really like watching too.
Yeah, and Russ is committed to Oklahoma State. I think he's a tackle.
Yeah,
I saw two of his games this year, and now he's going to need footwork for the pass protection part of it. But and that's another deal too. I'm anxious to see what the impact will be. We've seen Josh Henson leave Oklahoma State, his alma mater, and go down and take Jim Turner's spot in that staff down there at Texas A&M for Jimbo Fisher. Mike Gundy did a nice job of pulling Charlie Dickey, who had the long time impact for Bill Snyder at Kansas State as the offensive line coach. Be interesting to see the impact of all that on recruiting.
yeah. I mean, that's Josh Henson is a name, especially when you're talking to O-line kids. That's a name that you hear a lot, and with him being down there it's already a staff at A&M that is recruiting lights out. Jimbo is when it comes to head coach recruiters, Jimbo is pretty high up there. And you also have guys like Maurice Linguist and some others on that staff who are known as recruiters. So, it's a pretty good addition for A&M.
Hey, last thing, I have not seen the itinerary yet. Was it the same at Houston? And what time do they let us in the building down there on Sunday?
You can pick up credentials at 9 a.m. and then the interview portion where athletes are made available will be at 9:30 a.m. It'll probably last to 11:15, and then for about 2.5, 3 hours is the main part of the camp, the position stuff and the one-on-ones, and then they're not like the opening regionals where you're there from 10 to 5. Under Armour gets us out of there by about 2:30.
Good for them. Good for them. I already like those Under Armour people better. All right,
And I
hey,
think
hey,
the opening staggers
well,
the skill guys and the linemen, so that helps though, because you
right.
get to see a lot more guys.
That's true. That's true. And I did see the warning email this week about you weren't the guy who got caught on the turf shooting video,
That was
were you?
not me. It was not me. I was on the track the whole time.
There you go. All right. Hey, again, Gabe, I appreciate the time. Take care. I'll see your buddy this afternoon. I'll let Steven know you're thinking of him.
Yeah, do that definitely.
All right. I appreciate it, Gabe.
All right, we'll see y'all Sunday.